And like, yeah, when are we going to have the next tank warfare fight in order to save our country? But we have to keep building these tanks. So drug companies are the same way. So I think it's the fact that the government is so big, and I don't think it's a technical problem. It's a strategic problem of how big our government is and how much power they have. So I never want to regulate lobbyists or campaign finances, but I would like to reduce the ability of government to offer so much. And we come up on the short end of that because we're not in the auctioning business. All we want to do is restore liberty. And we have to search for supporters. It's great being in a crowd like this because you know and you understand and you care. But you know, if you walk down Main Street and start asking people some of the hard questions, you won't get as favorable answers as we would like. But some issues finally do wake them up. I think the war is awakened them, and they're starting to. They sent a message, even though even the Democrats haven't heard the message yet. But they did send a message, and the people finally do get fed up. And I think they're really going to be fed up at the time of the bankruptcy. But I'm trying to say you don't have to wait for the bankruptcy. You can make some changes before that.
Do you have any friends in Congress?
I get asked that question all the time, and it makes me sad. But you know, the truth is I never think of that of lacking friends. I am so positive about the philosophy that in my mind, I always assume they respect the philosophy, but they also recognize that I am not in the practical mainstream of becoming a committee chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. So instead of having no friends, I look at it as I have everybody's my friend. Because somebody says, does anybody agree with you on this? And I said, everybody does. And everybody agrees with me at times, but nobody agrees with me all the time. Sure. There's always some issue on personal liberties. I'm going to have allies. On the war, I have allies. On the market economy, I have allies. So I just go where the allies are.
Yes, I'm really excited that you're in the race this time. I supported you in 1988, and I intend to support you again up till the point, if and when it occurs, that it appears that you won't be able to win. I certainly hope you can get the Republican nomination, but if you can't, my question to you is, what will you then do? Will you support the eventual Republican nominee? Will you support the Libertarian nominee? Or will you sit the race out?
I haven't thought that far, but the odds are that, well, I did not officially endorse George Bush, you know, in the last campaign, nor...
Well, neither did I.
You also were not a Republican congressman that lived pretty close to the president. A little more of a challenge there. But, the likelihood, if we have a Giuliani or a Romney, I mean, you're not going to see my name on the list. Last go around, matter of fact, they put my name as an endorser on Bush's program once, and we called them up, and we said, well, we never gave you permission to do that. And they said, well, we just assumed you're a Republican congressman and that you would endorse him, so we made him take the name off. And, you know, I'm not likely to do that, but I haven't thought about whether or not I would do it as a Libertarian Party candidate, but it's not impossible. Not that I think it would make much difference, because I don't think that will be the key to it. Endorsements, I don't think a whole lot about it. I think it makes a whole lot of difference.
Libertarians have traditionally favored completely open borders. I sense a change since 9/11. What's your position?
Well, I would not be in the position of saying I support open borders. I think that is something worth thinking about, and under certain circumstances you can work in that direction. That certainly is what our Constitution was all about. It opened borders between what we thought were rather independent states or independent countries, the colonies, and they opened up the borders and had a unified currency, which I think served to increase the prosperity in this country. But I don't think you can do it with a welfare state under these conditions. I still believe in borders, and that I believe in national sovereignty. I don't believe in world government. Unfortunately, if you don't have protection of national sovereignty, it's not going to go in our direction toward individual sovereignty or state sovereignty. It's going to go in the other direction where you're going to have UN taxes and UN control of guns and everything else. So I think the danger of that is so much greater than some of the problems with protecting our borders. I believe we should protect our borders, and maybe someday, some other time, that we won't have to deal with that. But I think the attitude has changed a whole lot. So my problem with our policy is that we spend our energies and our monies and our men protecting borders between Iraq and Iran and Syria, and we're over there yelling and screaming, why don't you close these borders, protect these borders? Yet our own borders are totally neglected. So you can have better border protection by just bringing our troops home and spending less money and bringing money home, because you can save a lot of money and still serve the interests of some of these important things that I think are proper responsibility of the government.
Why don't we do about 2 more so we can preserve some time for informal discussions? Maybe Barry and Karen can wrap it up.
Barry, yeah, there we go. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Ron.
Great to see
You
you.
know, I served with Ron Paul. You got there in 68 or
76.
76, and I got there
We
in
overlapped.
68. We overlapped. I came down and campaigned for you one time
Right, I
down in
remember that
Texas.
very well.
As I recall, we had a swimming contest.
Yes, and I recall you beat me.
I did.
You were getting ready to tell everybody that.
Well,
I was so embarrassed.
in your
You
own
want to
back,
swim again?
in your backyard. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
But I want to say something, Ron. I served with you, and you were often the lone voice in the wilderness, in the halls of Congress, yet you had a lot of respect. And there was a lot more folks that listened to you than gave you credit. And there's so many, I think, in the Congress that believe like you do, but don't have the political guts to follow their own philosophy and what they truly feel is right. And I think it's important that you're running. I think it's important that your voice be heard. It makes people stop and think. And today we don't do that. We get so much of the same thing. It just like washes over us, and it's not what we want to hear, and it's not what we need to hear. And I just want to compliment you for
Well, thank
doing
you,
this.
thank
And welcome you to Arizona. You have got a lot of friends.
That is very nice.
Karen will give the last formal question, and then informally, Ron will still be here till 7, so catch him with your questions after Karen.
Thank you. Congressman Paul, could you share with us your views on this stealth movement of the Bush administration on the North American Union Security and Prosperity Partnership?
And that's Senator Karen Johnson.
And I think that term is right, stealth, because it's amazing how little discussion there is in Washington. This is one issue that's better known outside of Washington. There were a few races that this was an important issue, and the Democrats ran against the Republicans for not paying enough attention to it. They won some seats on this issue. I think there is a very definite movement toward making a union between Mexico, United States, and Canada. The highways are being built, and Texas, unfortunately, is leading the charge by the Trans-Texas corridor. There has been some funding, and yet even now, currently going through on the transportation bill, there's monies in there, but it's really tough to define it. They don't identify it. You know, it's buried in there, and yet it is a very definite plan. The 3 presidents of the 3 countries met in Texas, in Waco, in April of 2005, and they laid this plan, and they have an organization that's quasi-government and big corporations that are promoting this, and they don't see it, if they're pinned down, they say, well, what's the big deal? We want good highways, and we want to have friends, and, you know, this sort of thing. It has nothing to do with assimilation. And economically speaking, not only does that challenge the concept of national sovereignty, economically it's a real challenge.